British Columbia. Bordering the Pacific Ocean with vast mountain ranges, mighty rivers, and impressive wildlife, British Columbia's true beauty shines from behind the wheel. By Car is a series that begins its journey at one of the 5 dealerships within the Caribou Auto Group, traversing through rolling hills and snow-capped mountains to raging rivers and sandy deserts. Our journey takes us to historical landmarks, awe-inspiring scenery, and some of the most breathtaking places to visit in British Columbia by car. Today, we're traveling from Williams Lake to Bella Coola along Highway 20, an east-west route also known as the Chilcotin Highway, named after the original peoples in the area. Along the way, we'll encounter a gravel, single-lane, steep mountain road, affectionately known by the locals as The Hill, and we'll discover the great reward of a spectacular setting on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Williams Lake is the second largest city in the Caribou region, and it was named for a local First Nations chief named William. Its history can be traced back 4,000 years. Since the 1800s, it was the center of business during the Great Gold Rush. These days, with a population of just under 11,000, the people of Williams Lake are known for being friendly, hardworking, and open to adventure. Located 451 kilometers by car on Highway 20 from Caribou Chevrolet Buick GMC in Williams Lake, the Bella Coola Valley and the community is known for its stunning beauty and abundant wildlife. Our journey there starts now. On the way, we soon pass Alexis Creek, an unincorporated community in the Chilcotin district. The community is named after Chief Alexis of the Chilcotin, who was chief during the 1864 Chilcotin War, a battle between members of the First Nations people who have already suffered with the arrival of settlers and construction workers expanding the road to Barkerville during the gold rush. Chief Alexis was one of the members of the tribe wrongfully executed after the war, and their death remains a day of mourning for Chilcotin peoples. In our modern world, travelers stop in Alexis Creek for snacks, supplies, and travel information at the popular tourist info booth before continuing their journey west or into the backcountry along the glacial green waters of the beautiful Chilcotin River. Further along the road, we arrive in Tatla Lake, a community named after its long, narrow, freshwater lake. It's the halfway point to our destination of Bella Coola. The Chilcotin peoples were the original stewards of this area, but when Irish settler Robert Graham arrived in the early 1900s, he started the area's ranching legacy. His original home in Tatla Lake is now known as the Graham Inn, known for good food for hungry travelers. Tatla Lake is also a helicopter tour access point for several wilderness destinations, including the Hamathko Ice Field, an expanse of ice about 30 kilometers across and one of the largest ice fields south of the Arctic Circle. Though several of the summits surrounding the ice field have been climbed, the Hamathko Ice Field is notoriously difficult to access and it's rarely ever visited. This area is known for impressive fishing, with some anglers catching 22-pound rainbow trouts. Although beware that if you're fishing here, you're in competition with the local grizzly bear population. You're more than likely to spot a variety of wildlife from Highway 20 and the surrounding forest, valleys, and jagged mountain cliffs. Grizzlies and black bear, deer and eagle, wolves, cougar, wild horses, mountain goats, and moose all call this area home. In fact, during the month of September, the bear viewing station at Bellarco in Tweedsmuir Park, about 45 minutes from Bella Coola, provides a safe way to get close to the bears. Visitors can watch from a platform as the bear dive and splash in the river looking for salmon swimming by. About 96 kilometers from Tatla Lake is Anaheim Lake, the home of NHL superstar Carey Price.
Right direction. Can they get a shot? Maybe Connor. Carey Price. They do get a chance, but not enough. And the Canadians hold on. And it's Carey Price with his 8th career Stanley Cup playoff shutout.
On the first night of the Stanley Cup Finals in 2021, a convoy of trucks waving Canadians flags arrived outside the rink in Anaheim Lake, where Carey played hockey as a kid. The convoy drove for about 60 kilometers, honking horns and stopping in different Indigenous communities in the region inhabited by the Alcacho First Nation. Linda Price, Carey's mom, is the chief of the First Nations. And while the Vancouver Canucks are the closest NHL team, just 12 hours away, it's the Canadiens and its star goaltender that are celebrated in this community of about 1,500 people. As we continue our drive by car from Williams Lake to Bella Coola, we now arrive in Tweedsmuir South Provincial Park, located in the eastern Kitimat Ranges, northern Pacific Ranges, and the Rainbow Range of British Columbia. The park was established in 1938 to protect this large area of pristine wilderness. With some of the most spectacular scenery in North America, Tweedsmuir Park is a magnet for those that like to tackle the great outdoors. In this park, you'll find superb angling, hiking, camping, and canoeing. The terrain varies from the high elevation pine forests of the Chilcotin Plateau on the east to the vividly colored hilltops of the Rainbow Range volcanoes to the glaciated peaks and deep valleys of the Coast Range on the west. Now, when you think of British Columbia, you may not think of volcanoes, but the Rainbow Range are the remnants of volcanoes that were active approximately 10 million years ago. Through erosion, weathering, and oxidation, the Rainbow Ranges are stained and streaked with red, yellow, and purple hues. This coloring is so dramatic that Aboriginal peoples used to call them the Bleeding Mountains. Although formed as volcanoes, they don't pose a risk of eruption now. On this trip, a stunning scene not to be missed is Hunland Falls, a waterfall that plunges 260 meters before disappearing in a cloud of spray before entering the Adnarco River. The Nuksalk and Carrier First Nations have used Tweedsmuir Park and the surrounding areas for thousands of years. Routes known as the Grease Trails, named after Yulacon grease or candlefish grease, enabled the interior people to trade furs and obsidian for this valuable grease. The candlefish are so fatty during spawning that if they're caught, dried, and strung on a wick, they can be burned as a candle. The Nuksalk people of the Bella Coola Valley still depend on the abundance of salmon in the rivers for their livelihood. They still catch and process fish the same way their ancestors did. Once we're in Tweedsmuir Park, we also begin to grip our steering wheels a little tighter and our hearts begin to beat a little faster. The pavement we've been driving on for the past 4 hours starts to fade and rocks, sand, and gravel take its place.
Okay, for 9 kilometers, 11% grade. This probably is the famous hill they talk about. I'm in now.
This area of Highway 20 transforms into a steep, dirt-packed, white-knuckle incline known somewhat affectionately as the Hill, a 20-minute descent at slow speed in low gear to the valley floor. With a series of switchbacks featuring hairpin curves with grades of up to 18%, it is not for the faint of heart. This is a 5,000-foot descent on nothing more than a dirt road.
Yeah, it's a dirt road. There are quite a few steep parts to it, but when you take it one at a time, it's not too bad. I would say going up is probably a little bit more nerve-wracking than going down, and it depends on what time of the year. It is very well maintained, though, so even in the wintertime, it's in pretty good shape.
Darcy grew up in Bella Coola. Originally, engineers actually advised against the continuation of the highway because of the terrain, the lack of manpower and equipment, but a road needed to be built there, so construction continued anyway. Men backpacked and horses hauled supplies over rock and mud trails. Jackhammers needed a change of drill bits every 2 feet. 2 bulldozers were brought in. One slipped off the cliffside twice. Workers clawed up and down the valley for over a year before it was complete. Once no more than a path used by goats and other wildlife, it's now a lifeline for those seeking to travel in and out of Bella Coola. Even after 70 years of its initial construction, the road is only wide enough for one vehicle, and there are no guardrails protecting travelers from the mountainside on the right or the steep cliff to the left. According to locals like Darcy, it's not uncommon for travelers to leave their rental car or RVs behind and leave by plane or ferry in order to avoid the drive back up the hill. The Bella Coola Valley is mountain peaks, emerald blue water, and the giant Bear Rainforest, which covers over 6.4 million hectares and is home to trees more than 1,000 years old. Unlike most coastal communities in BC, the community of Bella Coola sits 100 kilometers inland from the Pacific Ocean. so it doesn't experience much rain through the summer and early fall, making it the best time to visit and an ideal time to transcend down the hill safely. The entire Bella Coola region is rich in First Nation culture, with documented evidence of Indigenous civilization existing here for centuries. Considered laid back and friendly, Bella Coola welcomes visitors with beautiful scenery and wisdom from the past. Learn more about the Nuxalk culture, hear their songs and traditional stories, and view the petroglyphs through the eyes of a First Nation guide.
My name is Tamara Hayden, and I am Indigenous to here in Bella Coola. And the best places to go to get to know the place is just to walk around town, and you'll be able to see lots of stuff like eagles and mountains and stuff like that.
The 5-hour road trip from Williams Lake to Bella Coola offered a unique and invigorating experience that can only be seen by car. In our next episode, we'll travel by car to an extraordinary historic town that stands as a living testament to BC's early beginnings. We'll also explore a popular fishing lake well known for rainbow trout and a ranch that was the site of one of the most popular gold-bearing creeks during the Caribou Gold Rush.
By Car is a presentation of Caribou Auto Group. We encourage you to get off the beaten path, explore the wonders of your local BC community, and connect with folks who live there. Our 5 dealerships are here to make sure your vehicle is up to the challenge. Visit CaribouAutoGroup.com to contact one of our GM, Ford, or Toyota dealers. Thanks for listening.